Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Dunk Talk. Today, as the title shows, we're going to be looking at the 2022-2023 NBA rookies that have just been absolutely dominating this year. Essentially we're about a little over 1 month into the season, but the rookie race has, begun to shape up and it's been absolutely insane. Before I begin, I would like to go ahead and say the number 2 overall pick, Chet Holmgren, what a loss. Unfortunately, out for the season with that foot injury. But still, players like Paolo Banchero, Benedict Mathurin, they've stepped up in massive ways for their teams thus far. Let's get right into it. Paolo Banchero, Orlando. He's been one of 6 players in the NBA currently averaging thresholds of at least 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Absolutely insane numbers. The only other players to even do that in the NBA right now, it's Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, and LeBron James. We're not just talking about all-stars here. We're talking about literally MVP candidates. And of course, Paolo, he's got what it takes, I think, to become that franchise cornerstone. Going into it a little bit more, some more statistics. Banchero is particularly successful when he's driving to the basket. He's averaging about 9.2 points per game on these opportunities, and that ranks only behind Ja Morant among all the other rookies since NBA's tracking began in 2013. Banchero's averaging 3.8 free throw attempts on these possessions, which is by far the most of any rookie on any record. So at this point, I would just say, health is probably the biggest question mark that could keep him from winning, the NBA Rookie of the Year. Let's go into number 2, Benedict Mathurin, Indiana Pacers. Although Banchero looks like he's going to be the early favorite for Rookie of the Year, I would put Mathurin as, a potential second runner up. He's made a solid case for himself as well. Even if he doesn't win the Rookie of the Year, he still may contend for 6th Man of the Year, even as a rookie, which is insane. But he leads all players in scoring off the bench. I think he's at 65 points, probably more by the time this recording is actually finished. But 65 points this season off the bench. He's currently averaging, about 1.3 pull-up three-pointers per game. The only other rookies to ever accomplish as much since the NBA began tracking this again back in 2013 would be Luka Doncic and Trae Young. So he does have some defensive concerns from what I can see. But honestly, it's only a matter of time before Indiana moves Mathurin to the starting lineup and he really starts ingraining himself in getting better at some defensive plays. I'd like to jump into Jaden Ivey from Detroit Pistons. He's been having a remarkable start as well, especially to, get into such a profession. And as quickly as he's doing it, this guy was a Purdue standout. He was averaging 15.4 points per game, which is fairly impressive for an NBA guard. Before the season even began, we did say, or at least I read some articles that had mentioned, if he could improve his playmaking, he could really be a star. He's averaging 3.8 assists per game, and he leads all rookies in assists and potential assists per game. He's also adding value on the boards at 5 rebounds a game, and as a defensive maker, averaging 1.4 steals per game. So Ivy, he's no one to sleep on. I don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year, but he's still someone to look out for. All right, Tari Eason, Houston Rockets. This guy, again, crazy player, absolutely phenomenal when it comes to Rockets. A nice pickup for them. He's pretty much, I would say, one of the only regular rotation players on the Rockets who has a positive point differential when he's on the floor. Um, but yeah, he's just crazy. He's among a few that have logged at least 200 minutes in the NBA so far. I think there's only 3 players in the NBA who've hit at least more than 200 minutes. It's Alex Caruso, DeAnthony Melton, and Javante Green. These guys are averaging a few more deflections on the Rockets than Eason is, but Eason's, up there. I would say that Eason is one of the league's maybe most disruptive players, which is a really big accomplishment for this guy. Moving forward, Shaedon Sharpe, Portland Trailblazers. I haven't gotten to see too much of this guy, but just looking into what he's been able to do so far, he's been playing a very significant role in the early success of what the Trailblazers are trying to do, especially with, Dame Lillard being out right now. But, he seems very NBA ready and surely might even stand out as one of the more better athletes in the league as he, gets his footing. So, I think looking at it a little bit more, I see he's been averaging about 44% shooting on his 3-pointers, which is absolutely insane. I mean, that's better than LeBron's numbers right now. Unfortunately, he did get a fractured finger, so I know he's going to miss out some time. But when he does come back into the rotation, man, it's going to be pretty wild. Moving into number 6, Walker Kessler, Utah Jazz. When they traded Rudy Gobert, the Jazz landed Walker Kessler from the Timberwolves. But this first rounder, he's more than just a throw-in for the deal. His teams are never going to run the offense through him, but it's very hard to miss just how impactful he can be on both sides of the ball. Kessler's averaging 4.1 blocks per 36 minutes, which trails just behind Robert Williams and Mitchell Robinson for the most among any player 21 years old or younger. He's the rookie leader in catching all metric defensive box plus minus. Number 7 going into Keegan Murray, Sacramento. Murray looked like he was the Rookie of the Year hopeful, during the NBA Summer League. His highlights were incredibly exciting. His playing is more of a tertiary role as a spot-up shooter for the Kings at this point in his career, but, early results are still very promising. Murray led all prospects in total catch-and-shoot field goals last season per AI-powered statistics, and, he's shown some of that same productivity as a pro. Now, I'd like to talk about Jake LaRavia from the Grizzlies, Memphis. He's been looking like a early all-rookie candidate. He's already contributing at a really high level for Memphis. He's already one of the league's most efficient spot-up shooters and catch-and-floor spacers. And he's held his own on defense, especially on the perimeter as well. He's like somewhat of a wing that I wish the Lakers honestly had. But it's clear good things happen when LaRavia is on the floor. Next, we got AJ Griffin in Atlanta Hawks. Griffin hasn't gotten a ton of burns so far, but based on what he's displayed, he's well deserved a spot on the list. Griffin has shown effectiveness when using off-ball screens and dribble handoffs, and he was able to shine against the Bucks just last week on November 7th when he scored 24 points. Next, we got Christian Koloko, Toronto Raptors. Last season, Christian, when he was a sophomore at Arizona, it was obvious that he was going to be a great defensive pro. I didn't know how much that was going to carry on into the NBA, especially in his first year. But I gotta say, man, he's already been better than advertised, including the 6 blocks that he had against the Bulls when he was on the starting lineup on November 6th. Just absolutely demolished his opponents. Uh, I guess we could say, looking at more of the numbers, his opponents are shooting 25 for 51 at 49% at the rim when Koloko is nearest the defender. And he's among those who have defended as many attempts. That is still the 4th best in the league, which is insane. Toronto's defense has allowed 118.3 points for every 100 possessions in minutes without Koloko, but just 101.4% points when Koloko's actually on the floor. I'd like to finish it off with just a few honorable mentions. Jeremy Sochan from San Antonio Spurs, Jalen Williams from Oklahoma City Thunder, Jalen Duren from Detroit Pistons, Marjon Beauchamp from Milwaukee Bucks, and last but not least, Andrew Nemard from the Indiana Pacers. This is pretty much the list that I've gone through of, I'd say, the best rookies, but it's safe to say that this 2022-2023 rookie class has just been absolutely phenomenal. I think it's one of the better rookie classes that we've even seen in the last few years. But that's pretty much it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Please subscribe if you haven't already.